Hello, and welcome back to another Lower Decks review. I messed up my intro gag where I was going to say where today my shirt hasn't arrived, the Lower Decks episode shirts, and I had my sweatshirt zipped, so that gag didn't work. But also, the picture hasn't shown up today for Lower Decks, and I don't know why. So everything's gone, nothing's here today, except me. But today, episode 2... Well, you're not even... They don't know. You're not supposed to be here. Today we're gonna try...
No one's here except for me and my significant other who's not supposed to be here but got a new job.
Today we're gonna try and do this Season 1, Episode 2, The Least Dangerous Game. Well, Alex is here.
Season 1, Episode 2? That's Season 3, motherfucker.
Season 3, Episode 2, The Least Dangerous Game. Which is hopefully better than Envoys. I didn't particularly care for Envoys much. You're not supposed to be able to hear me. I didn't end up watching any Lower Decks over the past week, which was a failure on my part. But hopefully still the pacing. I'm just more used to it now. Someone in the comments also said they thought it felt a little bit rushed. So maybe it just something about that episode as a whole was a little off. It still felt like longer than 23 minutes, as Lower Decks is great at doing, but maybe it was just a little too cramped. Who knows? But there's been no major shakeups in the people who write and run this show, so I'm hoping for another return to real solid Lower Decks episodes, because just the last one wasn't quite for me. But without any further ado, I'm just gonna get into it and hope the picture comes. Hope the picture is actually there for the show. But yeah, I'll see you then. Brilliant. That one was much better than the first one, which is good. It also benefits from probably the best line I've ever heard. It provides a system of checks and balances. That one really got me. Everything about that, the voice, the delivery, the psychic baby volcano sentient computer was amazing. They mixed up the dynamic again, which I think they talked about in season 2, but didn't do that often, if I remember correctly. Where it's not always Mariner, Boimler, Tindy, Rutherford. I loved Tindy and Boimler. That was great. I think I was gonna say, as always, the B plot of the episode was stronger. Or would you consider it the A plot? It's hard to say with Lower Decks. But the, oh god, starting a new season, everyone's names. Mariner Rutherford story, I guess if you want to call it that. I liked better. Part of it, I'll say, and I hope this isn't a theme through season 3, but now that we're a lot more familiar with Lower Decks, I'm noticing in these past 2 episodes a certain pattern of predictability where I don't want to say there's usually some big joke at the end of an episode, because I don't remember the other ones as cleanly, but often there is, the plot ends in some unexpected way. Veritas, it wasn't a trial, it was like a party thing. Stuff like that. But I'm starting to know straight from the beginning that I already know how it's gonna end, and so kind of the big build up to the joke, I know what it is. With the Boimler and Tindy plot, as soon as the guy was like, would you like to be hunted? I'm like, well, okay, obviously he's not gonna kill Boimler, because he's kind of important. But he's gonna be nicer than expected. I mean, he's designed overly evil, all that stuff. He's gonna be nicer than expected. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm actually a great guy. It's exactly what the ending we saw, which does take away from all the middle bits, and there's still enjoyable stuff, like, the weird little selfie stick. I didn't expect he'd just take selfies with his prey. That there were still fun bits, like the pointers, but the crux of the punchline can be take away from the episode a bit, which is part of why I enjoyed the other one more, because you don't really know what's gonna go on. I don't really know how that's gonna go. And I think, actually, in defense of the series, I think the bold Boimler thing, which I thought was gonna be just a one-off, right? That could help spice up the episodes and the formula a bit, and maybe help it be less predictable. Because I'd hate to see, especially barely into a 3rd season of what's hopefully like a 7-season run, but even if it's just 5 or something, I'd hate to see already a predictability in the jokes that detracts from the episodes. Let's talk about Ransom for a bit. I was waiting to see where it went, because Ransom, he's never been the best commander, but I don't think he's ever been, like, awful. He's, I suppose a bit of a Kirk, not in the way you think, but in the way that, Strange New Worlds described him. Sam described him real well, where he's got a lot of unorthodox and kind of bad-looking strategies, but he does get the job done, and, like, he's got his own way of doing things. But for a lot of this one, he did just seem kind of super incompetent, and, like, how did he get to this position? It's not out of character, and, I do appreciate eventually, later than he should have, but eventually he did come around to be like, yeah, I was wrong, I'm endangering everything, this was stupid. I like, well, the professionalism, something that is commonly cited against most of these series, and it's the comedy series that's got the right level of professionalism. But yeah, I suppose even Picard had his moments, like in First Contact, where he went, like, too far, and then he realized he was wrong. But yeah, I was wondering, like, is there some plan? Is he actually right? But I kind of did, like, again, it's not predictable, where he was like, hey, Mariner, I'm wrong, let's go down and get him, you're right. Which I think aligns that Ransom has never said on Lower Decks to anyone, except the captain, because he's a massive suck-up. Yeah, it was just a really solid, that whole B plot was very solid, very well put together. If the A plot was like in the first season, it might have been more enjoyable, or at least less predictable. But I hope that as we go on, the season 3 stories don't have that element of predictability to at least one of those plots. I'm glad one of them's good. Not good. One of them's not predictable. And, for ease of writing, I'd understand if there's like a minor plot that's kind of predictable and a major plot that gets more focus, more misdirection. But hey, I mean, I guess that's episodic television. Sometimes it's just going to be predictable. We're just on a streak now, and I get a little bit concerned on streaks. I love the sort of Klingon, we'll call it B&B, bed and breakfast, sure. Was that intentional, that the Klingon Dungeons and Dragons, like the super aggressive, is B&B and not D&D? But I love that was like Martok's cameo. I love, because I was thinking as well, God, like, did he record this? Is this a hologram? Because he's like Chancellor, isn't he? But then Rutherford brought that up, and it was the conversation they had in the writer's room. Like, he's Chancellor. Could he record this? Oh, it's a Ferengi knockoff. I bet I can never remember his name. But the actor must have loved that, just like something. It's Martok, but like it's a different thing he's not usually in. I thought on the board, one of the Klingon models was a little Mariner Klingon, but there were a few. I don't think that was like her character. But I love that whole thing. But yeah, as it's Lower Decks, we're going to go into the scene by scene a bit early, because as I've said before, I don't have much general things, or like I forget about them with Lower Decks. There's no real overarching plot. But scene by scene, I get a lot to talk about. Oh, going back to the predictability, though, this is like the very first intro where it's Martok screaming about stuff. I wonder if part of the predictability is inherent, maybe in all comedy shows even, that go on long enough, where, like, watching this, I'm like, alright, I know there's this isn't quite as it seems. Like, I know that's gonna be it. I did not expect a Klingon B&B. Like, that was amazing. But, as it goes on longer and longer, you kind of get just the feeling of, okay, what's the punchline though? Because I know this isn't as it seems. It's becoming more apparent this isn't as it seems. So what's actually going on here? You know what? I like every modern nerdy series has to have a D&D episode, doesn't it? But I'm kind of surprised that in like the 80s, wasn't there actually like a Klingon VHS sort of game, or maybe it would have been DVD at the time, I don't know. They had loads of Klingon actors like Gowron, Worf might have been in there. This was definitely a thing. I'm kind of surprised they didn't parody that, given it Lower Decks, but I mean, hey, Klingon B&B. Neither Alex and I can figure out what the bottom word is. It's probably gonna see it on Memory Alpha tomorrow or something, or you can say in the comments. I do like that is, I'm pretty sure, the actual Dungeons and Dragons but with Batleth endings, which is a nice touch. See, you're getting spoilers.
You asked me to
I
look.
did. I did ask them to look.
It looks like
it's
they
Klingon.
took the font off like a Chinese
It's
menu.
Klingon, but it does. Is Klingon font based off Chinese, or like one of the Asian languages?
Chinese takeout menus.
Well, it's like Chinese but written in English sort of thing.
Yeah, we had a font similar to that when I worked at the custom t-shirt place.
I've never noticed that before, but I'm gonna have to pay attention now.
You're welcome.
Huh. I noticed in the intro as well, for Season 3, the crystalline entity completely obliterates a Borg cube. So we now have some weird power dynamic that we didn't know before. Yeah, this one. This looked like a little Klingon mariner, but I would definitely buy that. I did find it a bit weird when Billups and Rutherford were excited to go down to the planet. Billups, I understand a bit more. I'm glad they acknowledged his whole cultural thing about not becoming a king. With Rutherford, like, this is the guy who early on was, like, really disappointed he couldn't live inside the Jeffrey tubes. And, you know, I feel he would love fixing the space elevator much more than the wellness culture. That did feel a little odd to me. I don't know, both ways you could add to the plot, where one, you know, the engineers are having the time of their lives but really shouldn't be down there. That annoys Mariner more. But also, like, Rutherford would rather be on the space elevator anyway, and that annoys Mariner more. Like, you could have done it both ways, but it did feel weird. Maybe, like, the episode wouldn't have worked as much going forward if Rutherford really wanted to be on the space elevator. But, that just felt odd to me. God, I love Shax. I loved his little choir Klingon dirge thing. We haven't, I was gonna say we haven't seen a lot of Shax recently. That's because he wasn't in the first episode, and it's been like a year since season 2. But I hope we need more Shax. Where's the Shax spin-off show? Oh my god. I've just realized they're going to Deep Space Nine, which means Shax is going to Deep Space Nine. If Worf and Shax never get a scene together, I'm gonna be very angry. Like, I know Worf was filming Picard. Is he filming it? He was filming it a while ago. He could have popped over, right? And just recorded a scene. You know, they got Jonathan Frakes when he was directing and acting in season 1 of Picard and directing Discovery, I think, at the same time. So, come on, Worf and Shax, we need this. Yeah, I mentioned before, but Tendi and Boimler, who I don't think have had, like, solo scenes together, or I guess duo scenes together in the past. I could be wrong. No, you know what? There was the episode with the dog, where I don't know if they interacted too much. Much Ado About Boimler, that's the one. They were together for a plot on that one. But this one, it felt novel, like I hadn't really seen it before, and I love their reactions. Not their reactions, their interactions with each other. They felt really close, you know, just when Tindy had gotten out of the sonic showers and they were talking about his career. Here in the bar, little hug at the end. Like, I really got the sense of friendship super closely that, like, sure, they were friends, kind of like coworker friends in the past, but we haven't really seen. Mariner had lines about this in her episode with Tindy. We're like, wow, we never really, like, know each other. We just kind of work together. But with here, I really felt like loads of unseen, you know, stuff they do together and that they're super close friends, which was very nice, and I very much like that. And it's also Tindy. Everyone loves Tindy, right, Alex? You love Tindy?
I like the green one.
Yeah, see, even Alex likes Tindy, and Tindy isn't even looking at the screen right now.
I think she's cute and my haircut's similar to hers.
You could get that color, like, you could get that haircut, color and all, if you wanted.
Yeah, but green fades weird, and sometimes it ends up looking like a puke green when it fades out.
That is just, you want to get on the camera and, like, just look away. That is just your haircut right now. There we go. You're kind of blocking Tindy. I'll do something in the edit, but I don't know. I don't know if they can see your, what's it? But yeah, that's, here, look at the camera now. They haven't seen you yet. The other video hasn't gone out. But yeah, that's just Tindy's haircut. Oh, there you go. There's Tindy from the front. Look how cute she is.
Yeah, I don't have necessarily the same, like, hairline smoosh she does.
I'm glad Cetacean Ops was not just a one-off. Yeah, see, even with the predictability, like, they kind of leaned into it as well, where Freeman was like, oh yeah, I had brunch with that guy. Like, he's a great guy. You know, he's not just gonna brutally murder you or whatever. I know him. It's different because it's whatever that guy's name was. Like, At that point, if you didn't know already, you should have caught on by then. Let's just pay attention to the horizon here in the sky and notice it is quite firmly day. Not necessarily the middle of the day, but it is at peak brightness right now. And then notice here where it's late sunset. Does it take Ransom that long to just go to the bathroom? I mean, like, what's he doing? Is he like admiring stuff in the? Oh wait, no, that makes sense. It does take that. This is actually quick for Ransom, I think. Let's also appreciate. Oh wait, I'm in the way. Let's also appreciate the bowl on Boimler's head. But yeah, that was episode 2, season 3, episode 2 of Lower Decks, the least dangerous game. Very good, I'd say. It might shake things up more with bold Boimler. I do wonder what Boimler we're going to get in Strange New Worlds. Is it kind of normal Boimler or bold Boimler? And I forgot to mention, I think I've thought of it before, but never paid too much attention. Is it Jack Quad? He might be Ransom, but the guy that does Boimler, he really can scream. Like, that'd be an interview question with him. Like, are all those screams purely like unedited him doing things, or do they do some fixing up in post to like extend them or make them unnaturally long? Because like in a different era, he could have been a Doctor Who companion. Like, he's got some lungs on him. But yeah, I mean, really good episode. I hope this just continues going forward. I hope we don't have to wait too long for the Deep Space Nine episode, and please have Worf. Like I've said before, I know he's not going to work on Deep Space Nine, but there are ways to get, you could get the whole cast back if you wanted, like maybe not budget wise, but the reunion day or something. It's the Xth anniversary since the Dominion War, and there's like a reunion thing. That's why everyone's on Deep Space Nine. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up because I gotta get ready for work. But I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, hopefully wearing my Phoenix shirt, which it's probably going to arrive like today and just annoy me.